In March 1918, the United States Navy relied on the USS Cyclops as a primary logistical asset for the war effort. At 550 feet long, the collier moved through the Atlantic carrying 309 passengers and a massive load of industrial cargo. She was hauling 10,000 tons of manganese ore, a dense metal vital for steel production. After a stop in Barbados, the crew sent a final routine message to port stating that the weather was fair and all was well. Then the ship vanished. There were no SOS calls. Search parties found no wreckage, no oil slicks, and 0 floating life preservers. Because the Navy was fully committed to the scale of the First World War, military resources were stretched thin. Every available ship was needed for combat, preventing a dedicated, immediate investigation into the loss. This total absence of physical evidence or a formal military inquiry allowed rumors to take hold. In the following years, that silence created the space for a legendary maritime myth to emerge. Folklore cast the ship as the centerpiece of the Bermuda Triangle. Stories circulated of sea monsters and violent whirlpools swallowing the massive vessel whole. Finding the truth requires shifting focus away from 1918 toward a series of events 23 years in the future. The disappearance of the Cyclops remains a cold case, waiting for a historical pattern to surface. The first steps involve ruling out existing theories. While Captain George Worley was known for a harsh and toxic command style, there is no evidence of an actual mutiny that would explain a sudden sinking. Conspiracy theorists often point to a German attack, yet historical German naval records confirm 0 submarine hits on the Cyclops during her voyage. In late 1941, the timeline moved to include the Proteus and the Nereus, the exact identical sister ships of the Cyclops. Both vessels disappeared without a trace in the same region, leaving no debris. Just like the Cyclops, German naval records show 0 attacks on either ship. 3 identical ships suffered identical fates. The case moved from an isolated mystery to a repeatable forensic pattern. A shared variable linked all 3 vessels, their years of service hauling coal. Coal is highly acidic. Over time, it eroded the ship's longitudinal support beams. For their final voyages, these ships switched cargo to dense metal ores like bauxite and manganese, placing extreme downward stress on compromised beams, causing Cyclops to sail past her safe waterline. The Cyclops faced a further complication, a cracked engine cylinder that limited her speed and maneuverability. Meteorological data from March 10th shows the crippled ship sailed directly into gale force winds, reaching 60 knots just off the Chesapeake Bay. The formula was complete: weakened infrastructure, a massive cargo overload, and a storm it couldn't avoid. In heavy seas, a 550-foot vessel caught between massive storm swells leaves its loaded center suspended with no water beneath it. The eroded spine snaps under the weight of the metal ore, instantly breaking the ship in half. Thousands of tons of metal ore dragged both halves to the floor in seconds. There was no time to launch lifeboats or send an SOS, and the speed of the sinking pulled everything beneath the surface before debris could float. The lack of debris serves as the scientific signature of a sudden, catastrophic structural snap. The loss of the Cyclops remains one of the largest non-combat tragedies in Navy history. The event stands as a grim lesson in maritime engineering and the physical limits of load capacity and structural stress. We find the answers to these mysteries by looking past the myths, respecting the unforgiving physics of corrosion, weight, and weather.